Hey YouTube. Oh shit. An encounter. No! Achi here. And today I got a new video regarding my project. SDR, which stands for Solo Dev RPG. It's just a working title I have to change later. Anyway, battle stuff. I changed stuff. Change is good. But what did I change? First of all, I got this little typewriter effect where you go to a new menu screen, which I think looks a bit nicer than just having the screen or like the text be there instantly. Just feels a bit more polished. And I can actually attack stuff now. So to demonstrate, bam. So there's actually a lot of stuff to dissect here. Let's find another encounter. Speaking of encounters, they are randomized now. I'm using a weight system for that, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But basically it's random and I can tweak the rates and which enemies that can spawn, so that's pretty nice. As you can see by the number 30, I did 30 damage. I got a formula for that setup. Currently it's very simple. It just takes your character's strength stat and then subtracts the enemy's defense stat off of that. And that's how it calculates damage, very simple. I want to make it more elaborate later, where I make it so like it takes into account your weapon stats and stuff. But that's for later. In the last video I mentioned that I had a problem where if you kill an enemy the menu can still move to that spot, or like rather your cursor can, but now it can't. This archer is the only one that has animations right now. If I use something else it just does that. Next I got some new graphics for the controls. So when you're using a gamepad it shows the buttons from the gamepad, and otherwise it shows the keys to use. Next we got the textbox system, which I showed at the start of the video. Just gonna open it again. So as you can see, every so often it makes this little sound to kinda yeah, I don't know how to describe it. Basically it's a talking voice or whatever, this right here. And then when the text is done it shows that yellow arrow, so you can know you can proceed to the basically the dialogue. If you press it sooner though, it just shows all the text instantly, so you can basically just mesh through it. Because sometimes, people don't care about your lore or whatever, so yeah, there you go. And I also put a little bit of a cooldown on it, so you don't accidentally get back into the dialogue again. One more thing I would like to show off is this inventory mockup I got in the works. Basically the way I would like to make it is so you control this pretty much invisible box with these blue corners, and then you use the D-pad or the arrow keys or whatever to move it around, and then when you're on top of what you want to select you just press the confirm button and then you can do stuff with it. Basically I want to emulate the menus from older games that didn't have a touchscreen or can't use a mouse. I might still add mouse support, but I just want to make it so you can play the game without using a mouse. That's pretty much the goal here. And then in this little box here it shows the relevant information of what you've selected. And you got your skills, your stats, class, name, all of that. It should speak for itself really. Well, this might be less obvious. These are basically your equipment slots. So you can equip swords, staves, axes, bows, whatever in the first slot, then shields, quivers, books in this slot, armor in this slot, and then rings and accessories in the last slot. Kinda like Realm, I guess. Yeah, it's actually pretty similar. But that's what I got going right now. Okay, the last thing I would like to talk about are the randomized encounters I got in my game right now. And for that I use a weight system. Now what the hell is a weight system? Basically you have to see the enemies as a loot table, even though they're enemies. Every enemy that you can encounter has a weight assigned to it. This weight can be different between overworld encounters. So let's see, like look at the snake for example. You have the obj test snake, and this is the object that starts the encounter whenever the player runs into it, right? Now whenever that object is created at the start, it gets different variables assigned to it. The first one being the variable that determines which enemies you can encounter. So I think BEO stands for battle enemy outcome. So what that means is you can either encounter enemy 0, enemy 1, or enemy 2, which if you scroll down are these enemies right here. So enemy 0 is the fox, enemy 1 is the crocodile, and enemy 2 is the viper. So with that in mind, I got weights set up for those enemies. I'm just going to change these back. So in this case, if you run into this test snake enemy, the fox has a weight of 40, crocodile has a weight of 40, and the viper has a weight of 20. When the snake object, the test snake, when that's spawned in, it is going to pick which enemies you are going to face. So it's going to do all of that before you've even started the encounter. So let's see, we got this weight set up, and what the game does then is it's going to calculate a total weight. So in this case it would be 100, because you got 40 plus 40 plus 20 is 100 total weights. So I'm just gonna make a little note here. I need to do it like this. Weird? No. I mean, I guess it could be weird, but it's weights. 100 total weights. Then the second thing it's going to do is set up different ranges. So let's see. The fox has a range of 0 through 40, 0 to 40. Then we're going to start from 40, and the weight here is 40 again, so we get 80. And then we start at 80, and here the weight is 20, so we get 100. So I'm just gonna put these names here. Then what it's going to do is draw a random number between 0 and 100, right? So it's going to use the total weight and then pick a number between 0 and that total weight, which in this case is 100. Well, let's say it draws the number 55. Well, what does that mean for the player? It means that the enemy they're going to face is going to be the crocodile, because 55 is in between 40 and 80. If you look at this script right here, script encounter generate, I got a random range here from 1 to 3, so it's going to spawn 1, 2, or 3 enemies, and then per enemy it is going to use these values to pick which enemy you're going to face. That's basically how it works. So in this case, you have a 40% chance to encounter a fox, 40% chance to encounter a crocodile, and 20% chance to encounter a viper per enemy that gets generated. So in this case it could be 1, 2, or 3. Alright, final thing I would like to talk about today is my Twitter. I made a new Twitter account. It has 1 follower, but you can change that. Actually, if you don't want to, you don't have to. But basically, I can post smaller updates there, which I don't really want to make a video for. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, you can go there. And if you're not, well, I don't care. It's just nice to have another place where I can dump my shit, basically. Well, anyway, that's all I got for today. Hope you enjoyed it, and until next time.